Hello friends, Ashton here. So in today's live coding project, I'm going to show you how to add a validation layer to the prompt in Google Sheets. So what I mean by that, let me show you here in this menu here. I'd like to get a name from a user, like for example. So if I enter a name like AB, and we should have some kind of set of rules to validate the name. So like for example, the length of the name 3 letters, right? At least 3 letters, but my input is AB, which is 2 letters. So if I enter some letters which is too long, I think I set a rule for that to validate the name which is longer than 10, something like that. And if I enter some ABC, but I enter some number or invalid letters in this name, and I think we also can validate that. So this is not allowed. So this is not allowed. Only letters are allowed. And if I enter Alice, for example, because right now, as you can see, I have a list of names here in this tab, and Alice is already here, so that's why it's rejected Alice at the input. And if I enter Bob here, and this time I think we should have Bob entered, right? So this is basically what I mean by adding a validation layer to the prompt and to get the information correct. Okay, so if you're interested in how I build this, and you can follow the project, I'm going to show you the code. Basically, I'm going to code. We can do the code together, line by line. Okay, so let's get started. So right now I'm in this YouTube directory here, and I don't have any file in this folder. I'm going to create the project by using a tool called Clasp. So I'm going to create a project called with a title of Live Coding 001 and a type with Sheets. All right, it's going to take a while to have the file created on my Google Drive. So it's been creating. So now I have this file here. All right, it's still creating the file, but I can open this file here. And if I open this folder here, we should have a file created in this directory. And let me format. I'd like to remove this parent ID. So this parent ID is basically the ID of the spreadsheet, okay? And we're going to remove this root directory and change this to the current directory because I want the code. So if you have a source folder in this directory, like for example, if I have a source folder, and if you want to have the files or the source code files into the source folder, so you can put this to the source folder. Maybe let me just do this for you. But I need to move the AppScript JSON file to that source folder, and all the code we're going to write is going to be in this source folder. So I'm going to add a new file called main.js to this source folder, and I'd like to push the code, the updates. Source, no such a directory. Maybe this is not saved. Source appscript.json. I do have this one. Okay, so there is a typo here. Source. I need to rename this source folder. This time I can push the code. So basically any other files which is not in this source folder is going to be ignored. Actually, this should be like this. Okay. And the code is being pushed. So basically this has to be the same. Okay, I did a typo here, so that's why it's not being pushed. And if I'm opening the project file by using class open, and it's going to open the project for me. And this is the source file, and we push the main file. Right now we don't have any content here, right? So I'd like to add the first function here to the project. I'm going to call this function create validator. So this is core, I think it's kind of core functionalities to validate the rules, not the rules, validate an input value by a set of rules. So I'm going to take the rules as the first parameter and the value as the second parameter. Okay, so this function is going to return a, and this rules is going to be a set of validation function. Okay, so it's going to be a list. So I can map this by applying this rule to every single value, not the only value actually, passed. So we execute the function or the rule function to this value from the first one to the last one, right? So this map function is doing here, and I'm going to filter the value. If the value is not equal to true, so that means it's going to return an error message. All right. So if the value is not equal to true, so this I'm going to filter the result, and I'm going to return this result. Actually, I'm going to add another. I'm going to add the input value to this error message too, so we can have a dynamic value. So I'm going to return this as. So this is error message, or I can say this is the error. And I'm going to add a new line here, and your input is, or your input is the value. So this is basically the value we are validating here. So let me just format this one. So let me explain this. We have a set of rules, and we have a, maybe I can do a test function here for you to understand this validator function a little bit easier. So I'm going to add a new file here called test.js, and I'm going to create a test validation or validator. So first I'd like to set a rules. So it's going to be an array, right? So and so we can say here, so this is going to be a function, and this v or value, short for v here, you can rename this. This is just the value, the parameter we're going to pass here. So let's say I'd like to validate a name. So at least the name, the length of the name has to be 3 digit. So if this is less or equal to I say is at least to be 3. So I say is the name of the value of the length of the value is bigger or equal to 3. So that means that okay. If in that case I'm going to return the true, right? And if it's not, so that means name is less than 3. Name length. So that's the value here. And I can set another rule to validate if the value is in this format. So I'd like to have a uppercase letter for the first letter, right? So I can do a test, and the rest of them has to be lowercase letter, and I can run test on the value. So if the name is in this format, so this is regular expression, I'm not going to explain this because this is just to make sure the first letter is always uppercase, and if it's not in this format, I'm going to say name is in a invalid format. Okay, so that's the rules, and we can create a validator function. So I say name validator, can say, and we're going to create validator. So create validator, and we're going to take the rules. So this is rules for this name validator. So I can say test A is name validator. So I say AB or AB like this, and test B is going to be name validator. So which is so the first one is basically 2 letters, so the length is less than 3, right? So the second one I can say ABC. So this is 3 digit. The length is equal 3, maybe ABCD. But the first letter is not in uppercase, so this should also return some error message, right? So the last test comes to name validator. So I put my name here. So in the last one, this is 1, 2, 3, 6. Length is 6. So we're going to pass the first rule here, and I think the format should follow. The first one is uppercase and the rest of them in lowercase, so this should pass. So let's just console log them to C, test A, test B, test C. So I'm going to push all of these updates to the cloud. And I'm going to run this function here to show you what I mean here for this validator function. I need to reload this page to see the code here. So if I'm trying to run this function here, so you'll see for the test A, the name is less than 3. The name length is less than 3, so your input is AB, right? And the second one, ABCD, so basically this is invalid format. And the last one you will see here, we don't have any error message because this one it met both rules. So this is okay, right? So if all the tests are passed, we should have an empty array. So that's the final goal. And if we have any error, we should get a list of errors. And we'd like to show this to the users, and what they input there is wrong. So this is basically what we are trying to do here for this validator function. And then I'm going to keep this test here, and I'm going to create a next function. This function I'm going to call it create input. In this function, I'm going to take a title and take a message and take a set of rules. Okay, so first I'd like to get the UI from the spreadsheet API, get the UI, and then I'm going to create a prompt or an input UI prompt. It takes 3 parameters: title, the message, and the button sets. So for this prompt, I'd like the user can either click on OK or cancel. So I'd like to OK, cancel for this button set, and I'm going to validate if the button they created, the button they created is not equal to OK. So in this case, so that means we are going to return a null or return nothing here. So I'm going to return a null. So basically they're just cancelled. So this is a cancel action. We don't need to do anything here if they clicked on cancel, okay? And what if they clicked on OK? And in this case, I'm going to save the value they entered into a variable called value. So input get response text. So this is the value. And here I'm going to create a validator here. Validator. I'm going to create validator with this set of rules. And I'm going to validate this value with this validator. So as you can remember, we're going to check if we have any error message here. So it's always return an array of error message. So if there is no error message, though, that means we don't have anything here in this array, right? So I'm going to say first error message is going to be validator. Validate the input. So if we don't have any error message, I'm going to return the value. So that means if we don't have any error message, and we can return this value because this value is valid. If it's not, if we have any error message, what we can do here, we can return. We'd like the users to input the value again, and this time we'll pass the title, and we're going to pass the message, and this time this message is going to be the error message. So I'm going to pass the first error message. So first error message, and the rules won't be changed, right? So the first error message, so this is array, so I'd like to index the first one. So that's basically this create input function here. And I think I forgot one thing here. If there is no rules, we just return the value, because sometimes maybe we can allow any value, we don't have any rules, so we just return this value directly if there is no rules, right? So that's basically this create input function here. So what we can do here to utilize this function, so let's say I'd like to create a, so let's just use this test example, okay? So I'd like to create a name input. And I'm going to create input here. The title, I'd like to say the name. And the message, I'm going to say enter your name here. So this is the name input. And I'm going to set the name rules. I'm going to copy a set of rules here because this is kind of difficult to define here. It's going to time consuming. So here, like I gave it in that test example, so we can validate the length of the name, right? So if the name and if it's longer than 10 letters, right? And then we can validate. So we can validate. So this is like we only allow them to enter letters, something like that. And then we can, the first letter should be uppercase. And we can even validate a set of names. So if we already have some names here, we can, maybe if we have a name here, name list here, so we can validate if we already have the, just for users to enter some, validate or duplicate names. So we can do something like that. But right now in these rules, it's hard coded here, but I can do a demo later to show you what we can do here to update these rules. So this is like set of rules, right? And what we can do here, we can create function to get the user's name. So get name. So this function here, const name is equal to name input. And I'm going to pass the name rules. So if name is not equal to null, or if we don't have any name, we just return just console log. So right now just want to log the name, okay? So if I push this code, so this is how we get the name. So basically we have a name input and we have a set of names, and you maybe want to get the email, so you can have the same thing, but you need to define a set of rules for the email. So then we can set const email equal to create a validator. So the email rules, not create validator, create input. So let's say this is the email, and enter your email, and then you can say the rules, email rules. So basically this input, you can utilize this to enter any input. So right now I'm just giving you an example for the names, but you can do this change very easily to get the other information you want to get from the users. So right now, if I'm trying to run this function here, but I think I need to open this from here. Let me close this one. So this time, if I'm trying to run get name, we need to complete the authorization. So you will see here, so if I enter AB, so name should be should have 3 letters at least. So I say ABC. So only letters are allowed. I think this is something like only letters are allowed. I think something wrong with. Let me check the rules. Only letters are allowed. Let me try my name here. Seems like I have some wrong with the rules. Only letters are allowed. Add that. I think something is wrong. Let me just comment console log the value here from the input. This is weird. So let's refresh and try to get the name again. Only letters are allowed. So let me check the log. This is actually the correct name we entered, but the rule here this is true. Weird. So I'd like to pause here and fix the error and come back later. Okay, I think I found the issue here. So the issue is related to this regular expression. So I need to add a plus here to allow multiple letters, because right now we just validate only one letter if we don't have this plus sign here for the regular expression. So let me do an update here for the rules. Not here. So this time, if I push the code, all right, so let me just reload this. And I'm going to run get name. And this time, if I enter, I'm going to cancel, and in the log here, I get this value is okay, right? So let me just run this again to show you the rules here. AB is less than 3, or AB, so it's less, the length is over, and if I enter some numbers in that value, ABC to something like this, only letters are allowed. So if I say A, B, C, D, E, F, and then we should say the first letter should be uppercase. So if I put my name here, should be okay. And this is last result, right? The name is Ashton here. And to validate the last rule, so if I enter Alice or Bob or Chris, so let me try it again. Alice. Should say Alice is already there, right? So we need to pick another one. So put Ashton here. But right now, because this is hard-coded, it is not updated anyway, right? So, but I will get the first try Alice. Alice is already there, and the second try is Ashton. Ashton is not in this list, and then I'm going to return this as an input. So this is how we can utilize this validator function to the input. So as I said, in the same way, we can define the function to get email or get anything from the user. You just need to define, so let's say the email, you need to define so let's say the title is email, and the message, enter your email, and then we have the rules. So very quickly, let me just define the rule. So let's say this should be the email. I should have something, I should have an @ sign in the email. So I'm going to run test. So that's the validation. You can write your validation for the email, right? I say email should have @ sign. So if we don't have this @ sign, I'm going to return this, and then I'm going to console.log the email. So this time if I push the code here, and let me just reload to get the email. Get the email. So you enter your email. So I say test email, and put my email here. Then it's complete. So the first try, this value is going to be failed, and the second try is email address, and then we got this email as a final result. All right, so this is basically how we can utilize this function here to basically add a validation layer to this prompt. And finally, I'm going to improve this a little bit. Maybe I'm going to create a function to show the message for the alert. So I'm going to create a function somewhere. I'm going to add it here. So I'm going to create a function to create alert, and this function is going to take a UI for sure, or we're going to take the button set, or we're going to take the buttons. So the button is going to be spreadsheet get UI button set.ok by default, and I'm going to take a title and a message. What it's going to do here is going to return spreadsheet app get UI and alert, title, message, and buttons. I'm going to have 3 alerts. So one for success, one for error, and one for warning, something like that. So we can say success. So I create alert. I don't need to pass the buttons because it's a default value here for OK. So if you want to override the buttons, you can assign the first parameter buttons here. And then for the title, I'm going to say success. And then we can copy this one, duplicate. This is for error, and this is for warning. So just change this, like this is going to be the error, and this is going to be the warning. And we can use these 3 functions to alert the user, right? So anywhere I can use this. So I think I can use it here. So we can check if we have a name. So if we don't have a name, right? We just say return warning. The name, the action was canceled actually, because if this is canceled, we cannot get any name back, right? And if we have a name entered successfully, we should say success, and we can say the name entered was. So we can say the name here, so we can have a better user experience. So let me just push the code, and so this time, if I'm trying to run, I need to refresh this page just in case I overwrite the updates. Get name here, and Alice, and Bob. So Ashton, and then success, the name is Ashton here like this. So that's basically how we can do something like this. And what you can do here, you can update this list. So I think the final thing I'd like to do in this video, I'm going to show you how do we get these rules. Let me think about this function. So this function, we can write a function here to validate if this name is in this list, right? So I can create a function here. Name check. So I'm going to take a name and I'm going to get the spreadsheet, and I'm going to get this one. So because this is the only one we have here, the ID is 0. So I'm going to get sheet find get sheet ID is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the sheet. I'm going to get the values, get data range, get values. So this check, so if values, because this is the first column, right? So values, I'm going to say const font name equal to values find value be 0, because this first column equal to name, and if the name cannot be found, we just return true. Else we just return name was. So we can just copy this message here. I'm going to want to copy this message, return this message. So, and then what we need to do, we just replace the last rule here with the name check. I'm going to comment this out. So sorry about the cat is doing something here with my keyboard. So basically I'm replacing the name check function here, the hard-coded name check function, and I'm going to use this name check here to check the name. But I need to update this name list, right? So if the user entered a name successfully, so here I'd like to enter this name to the spreadsheet. So in the same way, I'll copy these 2 lines of code, and I'm going to append a row. The value is going to be the name, because this is the first value here, so we can append this name to the list. So this time, if I'm trying to add a name, try to get the name this time. I think I need to reload this page. It's not pushed. Okay, I think I know the error here. This has to be defined before the name rules, because we are referencing this name check, but then this is defined after the name rules. Okay, so I think that's the error. Weird. What do we do here? Get name. I should run get name, not name check. So this time for Alice, So Alice is there, right? And this time if I'm trying to enter Bob, and then we should enter Bob there, and the name is entered, Bob is here. And let me just try it again. So if I Alice should be wrong, and if I enter Bob, so Bob should be rejected. And then I add Chris here, and what we can do here, we should enter Chris here. So that's basically what I'm trying to achieve for adding some validation to the prompt. And I think that's all about this coding project here. All right, so thank you, bye-bye.